Thank you, Mr. Maseko.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, before I resume, I believe that Mr. Maseko is ready to repay his first installment.
Mr. Maseko, you are still under oath. You want to say something? Thank you.
Chairperson, with due respect, I'd like to tender an apology for the error I made earlier on. I was asked a question by counsel about who was the deputy president at the time. I'm aware that there's been lots of changes in government, but my response to his question was that the deputy president at the time was Mr. Kgalema Motlanthe, and for the record, I'd like to state that it was an error. The deputy president at the time was Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa.
Yes, thank you very much. And that was 2016.
Pardon?
That was 2016.
2016.
Yeah, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Maseko, you don't have to feel extraordinarily apologetic about it. I'm told that in Switzerland, Chair, even my colleagues don't know who their president is at any given point in time. Given the role of the nature of the democratic system they have, because their presidents change every year. So we have had a number of cabinet reshuffles, so you should not apologize unduly, Mr. Maseko. But on a serious note, we had just completed what you wanted to say with regards to Annex A of the press statement. That is the document at pages 80 and 81. Can I conclude by asking you this? Have you had any response from any of the members of the National Executive to that memorandum you addressed to them? Did any one of, or all of them, respond to you?
Chairperson, just for my clarity, are you referring to the DG's memorandum, Annex A?
Yes. Remember, you had told the chairperson that you addressed to 4 members of the executive, okay, and you have identified them. What I want to understand is, have you received any response from any of them?
We did not receive any written response. However, the Office of the Minister of Finance at the time, Mr. Pravin Gordhan, did make contact with us with a promise for a meeting to be convened with the forum. The Minister of Public Service and Administration at the time, Minister Ngwako Ramatlhodi, also got back to us through his advisor to inform us that they'd received the memorandum and that he was going to come back to us with a date for a meeting. The meetings I've just mentioned did not materialize. The offices of the President at the time and Deputy President, through our own follow-ups, did acknowledge receipt of the memorandum verbally, but there was no commitment for a meeting or to respond to the issues we raised in the memorandum.
So from your answer, is it fair to conclude then that there was no meeting at all?
Following the submission of this memorandum,
yes,
there was no formal meeting.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Malega, is it more correct to say that Annex A was addressed to 2 people and 2 were copied? I thought you might have said it
yes,
was addressed to 4 and the witness agreed.
Yes, it was 2.
Yes. Subject to that qualification, do you still stand by your answer that no meeting with any or all of them took place?
As far as I'm aware, yes, no meetings here.
Thank you. We're still sequencing the documents in your pack. The next document, as I pick it up, is the document that begins on page 82.
I'm sorry again, Mr. Maleka. Just as a matter of interest, Mr. Maseko, is there anything significant about the choice of the 2 addressees in Annex A? Is there any particular particular significance or reason why it was those two who whom you decided should be addressed in that memorandum? That is Minister Pravin Gordhan and the then Minister of Public Service and Administration, Mr. Ngwako Ramatlodi.
Apologies. The reason why we targeted those two ministers was firstly because we thought that the most important pieces of legislation that was not being complied with was the PFMA, the Public Finance Management Act, and the minister in charge of that particular piece of legislation was the Minister of Finance. As far as appointments in the public service were concerned, the minister responsible was the Minister for Public Service and Administration. Ordinarily, if I may add, Chairperson, this memorandum should have or would have been sent to the President of the Republic at the time, but because a lot of the issues and complaints that were in the public space were in one way or the other implicating the President of the Republic. So that's why the President was not the primary recipient of the letter.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I had asked you to confirm that in sequence, the next document emanating from you begins at page 82.
Yes, I got it.
And it runs up to page 91. Can I ask you in your own words to identify and describe this document to the Chair?
Chairperson, this is the document I prepared in preparation for my meeting with the Public Protector in 2016. It was submitted to the Public Protector's office. It was essentially similar, if not identical to the document I submitted to the Secretary General of the African National Congress.
Thank you.
When did you submit this document to the Public Protector?
When did I submit it?
Yes.
It was on the afternoon of the 17th of August, 2016.
And we know, Mr. Maseko, that you were interviewed by the Public Protector on the 17th of August 2016.
Yes.
Chair, the date of the interview is recorded in the transcript of that interview. You will find it from page 20 of the Maseko bundle. Yes. That is Exhibit E1, page 20. So you say that you prepared this document in anticipation of that interview,
Yes, I did.
and you sent it to the Public Protector before that interview.
I gave it, well, I sent it to the Public Protector at the end of the interview.
Are they?
At the end of the interview.
Okay. And how did you give it to the Public Protector?
I sent it via email.
Yes. Chair, I'm not going to canvass the details of it because it repeats or reflects some substantial degree of commonality with the statement Mr. Maseko has made for the purposes of this hearing. So I'd rather deal with the details when I get to that statement.
Okay.
But Mr. Maseko, there is something which is different in that submission to the Public Protector, which one does not find in the statements and or the transcript of the interview. If I might ask you to go to page 19, and I'd like to invite you to look at page 90, paragraph 52, and paragraph 53, because I'd like to pose some questions to you for your comment. Are you there?
Yes, I found it.
In paragraph 52, you say the following: I consider the approach by the Guptas and the manner in which they set to put pressure on me was inappropriate, uncalled for, and irregular. The use of threats against me amounted to bullying and attempting to force me to break all government procurement processes and procedures. I refuse to cooperate. Can I stop there for a moment and ask you, what was the basis of the conclusion you expressed in the paragraph I have just read to you?
Chairperson, what that